I had the great good fortune to grow up in a household where there were a lot of writers and a lot of filmmakers and a lot of leftists. And what I knew about socialist filmmaking or socialist Hollywood filmmaking was basically there was a lot of stuff that was really deeply, truly on the nose. There was a lot of stuff that said what it meant, and it meant what it said. And I think one of the great glories of seeing Force of Evil was that there was language used for a completely different purpose and used in a completely different manner. It was like the difference between for me, it's like the difference between television and the kind of dream state you can get into when you're watching a film, or it's the difference between a bullet point presentation or a dream. The language in Force of Evil, while losing none of its political force and none of its argument, it soared, it dipped, it floated, it flared, it went away on wings and crashed to the ground and came up again. And it wasn't just your standard sort of eat nickel, spit dime, hard-boiled stuff, although certainly Polanski could do that. But somehow you got a sense that it was almost primary process, that in the rawest and most amazing way, people's unconsciousnesses were speaking directly through them, finding their way in words, and yet instead of regarding it as weird or unintelligible or pretentious, it was just the way they spoke. And some of that was the glorious way that Polanski wrote, and some of that, I think, was that he really, truly found the vehicle for his words in John Garfield, who was, the perfect gutter saint for the kind of stuff that Polanski did. Certainly, when I was doing my own work in August, I was very, very conscious of that tradition. So I wanted to create a language that was in some ways made absolutely no sense, in some ways was Martian, in other ways was poetry, in other ways was terms of art and deeply technical language. Certainly I don't think any of us who come after Abe Polanski will ever succeed quite as uniquely or quite as magically as he did, but it remains an inspiration because it tells you that even though film is a visual medium, especially because film is a visual medium, you don't have to be afraid of language.